what's in your mind, for you and for I'm trying to decide when I look in your eyes, I mean besides, but you're feeling.
Boom, we're back. Episode 28, Inside the RV. You are listening to our podcast. This is a podcast about entrepreneurship, work ethic, self-development, and becoming the best version of yourself. We appreciate you all listening. We're 28 weeks in, 28th episode. You're joined by your two lovely hosts, plus our best friend and guest. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Jacob Moore.
My name is Ryan Ramirez.
And we got the boy.
Khalil
right here. Khalillionaire. Yeah, that's right. And let's jump right in. Khalil, this is something I noticed about you over the past... Well, we said we've been friends for a little over a year, right?
A little over a year,
yeah. We were talking about that the other day and shit, and how we met at Cat's Party,
yeah.
right? Okay. So I feel like you have really made music your life.
Yeah.
Like, as far as, before I knew you, I was like, oh yeah, like Khalil's friends with Juan. I know he makes music, whatever. And then
just another dude who makes some beats or something like. You know what I mean?
I was just like, cool, yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, cool, like making music sick. And then we met and everything, and you were like engulfed in it. But now I feel like you're like living it, and so is Ryan. And I think that's all three of us. And I think that's an important thing where whatever you want to do and become good at, you got to make that shit your life, and you got to revolve things around that, because I feel like if you want to be super successful in music and it's not in you every single day to revolve things around that and make that your priority, then I just don't think you're ever going to be as successful as you want to be. Does that make sense? Yeah. Would you say that's fair?
I would say that's very fair. And I think music's weird because it's one of those industries where a lot of people want to be in it, but like the majority of people who are trying to be in it aren't like, they're like half-assing it. Yeah. Or they do it just because it looks cool, and like music's the cool shit to do. But it's like, then there's people out here like us who really are about it, and like we're obsessed with it to the point where it's like, this is our life no matter what, no plan B. This is what I do and what I am. So it's interesting to have an industry with like all sorts of people with different mindsets trying to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we still are doing it because it's cool as fuck too.
Yeah.
There's still that component of it.
That's the cherry on top.
Right. Yeah. But are you noticing, like, I mean, I know the answer is yes, but just like amongst the circle you hang out with when you're at the studio and stuff like that, like every single person you work with, it's their life. Huh? Yeah.
Anybody that I've like really worked with, like, have been doing it for a cool minute, I guess, whether they're like big or, you know what I mean, like, or just still upcoming. Like, I feel like everybody I worked with recently, like, ever since I really started getting tapped in with people, it's like everybody's been doing it for a minute, you know what I mean? So kind of just,
you know what I realized too? At least on my perspective, I don't know if you guys both felt this, but like the people who are really in it and really about it and are really trying to make it are like the coolest ones. Like the people who are like have the big ego and like, I don't talk to you, I don't associate with you and shit. Like those are the people who are like half in it, or they're like okay at what they do, or I don't know, maybe they just compensate with the ego. I don't know, but the people I met who are really in it, like at the studio and shit, like they seem like super cool and like approachable.
Yeah.
No,
I feel that. And I feel like because they've realized that in order to be hella successful in anything, you do got to put your ego aside.
Because relationships are everything.
Yeah. Right. 100%. That's the biggest thing I've realized, especially with like how everything's digital now and shit, and we aren't going out in the world and actually meeting people and stuff. It's like you just have to build relationships from the internet. You know what I'm saying? And you just got to be super cool with everybody and be nice to people. But it's got to be genuine. You can't just go out there and say, oh, I know that being a good person is going to make me successful in whatever area this is, so I'm just going to constantly put on a smile. Like you totally got to be yourself and be real with people. And I think that's the fine line. Like you have to know when to be real and when to be honest with people, but you got to value the relationship. And I think something that some people don't have, and I'm still working on this, is like understanding social cues and social boundaries. Like you should be able to walk into a room and read that room. You know what I mean? Like if you walk into the studio or whatever, or if you're showing someone a beat, right? You automatically know by their facial expressions or how they're kind of like acting and stuff if it's hot or not to them. And you know when they're lying and they're like, yeah, it's pretty good or whatever.
Right,
or
you just know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah. And so I think that's super important to be able to like read the room.
And like know your place in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot, like a few years back, I used to always be like, oh, I want to try to be like the guy of the room and shit. Like, I want to be the best one here. Like, how can I show off my shit and get everyone excited? But it's like, nah, like now I'm like, just kick back. If it's not your time, it's not your time. Just kick it. You know, whatever happens, happens, and let it be organic, you know? So.
What is what's something crazy that's happened to you that like made you learn about the music industry and shit over the last year?
Something, what do you mean? Like something crazy that's...
Did something happen to you, or you had an interaction with someone, or maybe you just woke up and realized something that kind of changed the game for you and you're like, yo, I got to work harder in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I've always gotten good feedback like on what I'm doing. It's just like, I think what's cool about being around the people like that are actually doing things like in it is it kind of just pushes you, because you kind of want to like live up to that in a way or something. Kind of like you want to be like, you don't want to be left out of that shit, you know what I mean? Like you know I mean, so like anytime I've played beats, like everybody's always liked the shit I'm doing, you know what I mean? I've never had a bad reaction to anything. It's just so I guess it's a good reassurance thing. I mean, you know what I mean? So like for the people I have been in there, like, you know, and they're doing big things in the shit, you know what I mean? It's just a good reassurance thing. I mean, it just keeps you pushing. So I mean, aside from that, like there's nothing really besides that. Like it just keeps you moving, you know what I mean? Like It's like there's times where like you feel like when you're not in it, like when you're not around the people that are doing shit, you feel kind of left out sometimes. Like you're like, you know, and you're like, damn, like I don't know what to do right now. You know what I mean? How do I, you know what I mean? And then yeah, you just figure it out.
I think what I learned too is like when you are doing things by yourself for a long time, you kind of get like this false ego. At least for me, this is what happened. Like you get like a false ego of like, I'm really good. Like, but you haven't been in enough rooms to know what's out there and like what's really happening and like who's like really going in.
With
you know?
me, because as an artist and a producer, it's kind of different for me because I've been in there and heard big producers' beat packs sent to the studio and the shit be doo-doo. Yeah. And I'm like, these are the names we hear in these tracks, and they send us some mid-ass packs, but then you realize the only popping songs that you hear from are the ones that are like popping. You know what I mean? Like out of the beats. It's not like when you hear the song on the radio that like every beat they make is fire. It's fire all across the board. They will miss all the time.
That was like 1 out of 100
Yeah,
beats.
1 out of 100 beats. You know what I mean? But then when I hear this shit, I'm like, you know, at first I used to think like, oh hell yeah, he a hard ass producer. Yeah. But like you hear so many hits from him. I guess you just assume, but then you got to think of how many beats they're making.
Bro, that shit's so encouraging too.
Yeah,
because it's like
it's
because like you like look up to these people and it's like you think they're like untouchable.
Right,
and shit.
you think they're untouchable, and then you realize they're a lot of their shit is just mid. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking down on the loop game or nothing. I love using loops too. Like that's part of like the thing. You know, there's loop makers, there's people who throw drums. I love doing that too. But if you don't have any type of some music theory in there, like I just feel like you can't really consider yourself one of the greats or something like that. I mean, look at fucking Scott Storch. This motherfucker's like crazy on the keys. London, dude, crazy on the keys.
That is so funny because today I was driving and I was thinking about that. I feel like there's so many people making good beats, right? But there's not tons of people. There may be a shortage of people making iconic beats, like the type of iconic stuff where. And I think that music theory does play a role in that. Where with loops, it can be easy to make a 4-bar loop or whatever. Like take out the hi-hats on one part, this and that, whatever. Oh, I have a bridge or whatever, and you can give it space and things like that. That's cool, but you're just kind of rearranging the same 4 bars, right? Whereas if you, from a music theory standpoint, have a lot of tension and release and different parts and you're specifically using certain chords to build that emotion or whatever, like, and I just immediately think of Scott Storch, you know what I mean? And that shit really grabs you. So I don't know, I feel like the tools of the music game and like other industries and stuff they're enabling you to do so much. It's so dope, but at the same time you can sometimes overlook other things like that, like using music theory or whatever. So it's like it gets you started quicker, but maybe you can hit a wall quicker.
Like I don't know. Like it's kind of a shortcut.
Kinda, but that's not to like knock skill or anything. No, if you can make a fire thing out of a 4-bar loop, that's insane. That's skill and talent.
Like I said, I mean, yeah, it's cool. Like I used to feel weird about loops though. Like I use them now, but I still don't even like them really. Like the people who make the loops, hell yeah, that's dope as hell. But it's like
you feel
it's
like it's boring, like cheating in a way.
Not that it's cheating, but it's boring. Like because it's like, okay, I already have the fucking best part already made for me. All I gotta do is throw the drums on here, and I'm like, you know what I mean? It's not that fun. But like, yeah, the beat hard. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's just not that fun. Like I want to make the melody, so when I'm making the melody, I'm like, oh, this gonna be crazy. The bounce is gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? And then yeah, so.
that whole thing we were saying, how like maybe 1 out of 100 beats is gonna be like phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that, as you said, is motivating and it's cool, and it just reinforces the fact that those producers make it their life. Those guys are making multiple beats a day. They're surrounding themselves with people who make beats, who listen to music, who are in the industry.
You got to understand, these big producers have loop makers. 30 loop makers if they just constantly getting loops. Do you know how easy it is to cook up a beat when you have a loop already made for you? You can get that shit done in 10 minutes.
Bro, it is so crazy how like knowledge is power to the in the sense that I don't know, like every year I feel like all this new shit starts clicking in my head. Like, oh, that's how that works. Like, oh, this is really what goes on behind the scenes. Like, oh, this is really what happens. Whereas like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I'm like, dude, like I'm so intimidated by the music industry because it's like, are these guys like untouchable? Or do they have this talent that like that is you're like have to be blessed with, like, and only some people have it, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, dude, I'm realizing all this like shit is clicking in my head over time. And it's interesting to like document this because it's like we're still fresh in the beginning of like all this shit, but shit's already clicking. So it's like cool to see the journey of like, oh, like we're unlocking this as we go. Yeah. It's not some mysterious smoke and mirrors shit that you think it is like of the music industry, you know?
I agree. I feel it's hard because you get to a point where you don't know what you don't know, right? You're constantly trying to find out what you don't know. Like, and I feel like every time I figure something out, oh, I don't know how to do this. Let me go learn this. That's a great feeling. So I think in the music industry, and especially in the music industry, there's tons of variables. Luck is absolutely a component. There's people searching for an answer, right? There's people searching for, how do I get on this playlist? How do I get this placement, whatever, all these different things that are happening, but people don't sit down and ask themselves, what do I not know? Because the second you figure out what you don't know, and if that thing that you don't know is extremely important, that's a step forward in the right direction. Because if you know a million things, oh, I know that playlists help, I know that, you know, I need to build a fan base, I know that I need to get connected with this A&R person or this or that. If you know all these things, that's dope. But there will always be something that you don't know that is going to be the next step forward.
And I think that's like super critical because like you can just be at home and beat down your craft all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I've realized that like, and you have to do that for one, but for two, it's like if you're doing that shit, but you don't really know what's going on in the industry and you don't know what's happening, or you know what I'm saying, you're not using Clubhouse to your advantage if you're on it. It's like, dude, you're missing out on like what other people are learning and shit. And you're just like behind the scenes, like you're getting good at what you do, but you can't expect to like get ahead if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
In the industry.
And imagine doing some sort of task or whatever it is. You're making beats, you're singing, you're sending this to this person or that person, or you're reaching out to this publication or whatever. And imagine if you were doing the wrong thing the entire time, but you never knew that what you were doing was wrong because you never went out and seeked out what you didn't know.
And I think that's why mentorship is like super key.
Yes.
Because that just like saves you years and shit of like, they just tell you what they've already learned, what they've already failed at, or like what they thought they knew, but realized that wasn't the case. So they teach it to you ahead of time. But I will also say in my opinion, there is a value to like failing and like to thinking things are a certain way, but realizing they're not. Because I think there's a value to going through it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
it hitting you in that way instead of just being told what to do. So it's a balance.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is like when you do things on your own, you get the firsthand experience and you learn on your own. Okay, great. But the great thing about the proper mentor is that you can save yourself loads of time and loads of failures. But at the same time, I get what you're saying, where you experience failure, it kind of molds you.
I think a little bit of both is good.
Yeah.
Mentorship and going through it, you know.
Yeah. Who would be a good mentor for a producer? Just another producer?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, yeah, for a producer, it's probably your best bet is another producer who's doing what you're doing.
Do you think like there's someone else in the industry too that like holds a position? Like who,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
I think
who helps
anybody who's really in it can always give you some type of game or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
I think at the end of the day, like you're a producer.
It doesn't have to be a producer like just giving you game. It could literally be anybody.
I was gonna say because like you're a producer, I'm an artist, you're a manager. We could all still get the right game
Right.
from people.
Yeah.
Like business
Yeah.
wise.
It doesn't have to
be.
be. It has to be the person that's doing the same thing you're doing. No.
Yeah.
So you could definitely get game from other people.
I think a good example of that is Sticks.
Yeah.
Like you're not a dancer, I'm not a dancer, and that's his specialty.
Mhm.
You're not a dancer. Do you
Right.
dance at all? You're not a dancer.
I could do a
You be vibing and
2-step.
shit.
I could do a little 2-step. That's about it. But
Yeah. But for some reason, that guy has been able to give us probably some of the best advice we've gotten.
Yeah.
And best mentorship.
And it's interesting because a lot of the shit he would say, like, I don't see it that way at first. But then, like, I really trust him and be like, let me give it a chance and see, like, what he means. Then 2 months later, I look back and be like, oh, that's what he saw.
Mhm.
Why couldn't I see that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is one thing I'm kind of realizing is that I hate to say this, but you do got to kind of be on a time crunch with your grind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people say, and you'll see this on social media and stuff, people are like, you've got time. And this isn't a jab at Gary Vee or anything, because I know he's like, you're 45, you got time. You got time. You know what I'm saying? No, but I'm just making jokes and shit.
Right.
But it's one of those things where it's like,
It's a weird balance.
I know age is just a number, but okay, sure, having $1 million when you're 45 is cool. But having $1 million when you're 25 is pretty
Right,
damn cool
right,
too.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I hate it because I wake up every morning and I'm like, oh, you know, I've got time. I'm only 24 years old. Oh God, could you imagine when I'm 30? Oh God, I can't even imagine that. Whatever. And I want it so bad now. But then the other end of me is like, you know what? It's kind of true. I'm gonna live a very long life. I can achieve what I want to achieve over the course of decades, maybe. But I feel like you got to have that first bit of intensity where you're like, I need it now, because that's going to push you to work hard.
I think that's Gary Vee's thing when he says something about the macro, but like, so micro speed and macro vision or some shit like that. Like basically like you don't have all the time in the world, so you need to be grinding today and every day, but play the long game with it. Like, so don't look for instant results, but you should be working like you're about to get instant results.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense to me when he says that. But like the advice that you gave me the other day, where I'll be like, dude, I'm frustrated. Like I feel like I'm going in a hamster wheel or whatever. You're like, hey, but everyone has a different story. Like everyone has a different upbringing.
100%.
I'll give the example of Lil Baby. Lil Baby started rapping in 2017. But then you go look at Eric Bellinger. He's not as big as Lil Baby. You know what I mean?
But yeah, he's like 30.
And he's been he's been doing, and Eric Bellinger's been doing this shit way longer than, you know what I mean?
But then I realized, like, okay, maybe it took him longer or whatever, but at the same time, he has a different kind of impact on the industry.
Yeah.
So it's like there's different stories do different things for people. So it's like there's not just one, like, I'm going to go viral in 2 years of me starting this shit. And like, that's the only answer. Like, there's a lot of answers.
That's one thing too. I feel like you got to be open-minded about how you're going to achieve success. Like I've told you a million times, like if you pop off because of a TikTok or a YouTube video or an insane live performance or whatever it is, I don't care. You popped off and you made some waves. And that's all I care about. I don't really care what the medium was, as long as it wasn't something that happened that was bad, right? But if you put on a killer performance or you impacted the industry, or maybe you just made a funny 10-second video and it gave you the initial step that you needed to continue to grow and like blow up, and
Listen,
you got
dude,
put on.
if you want me to get a face tattoo, I'll fucking do it. Okay.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you just get a big double R right here?
Yeah.
Double R. Yeah, man. But yeah, that's pretty much all I was getting at. I just had a couple things to say about, like, in the beginning, really living it. I think that was kind of one of the things that was just on my mind today.
I think that's so important. Like,
Yeah.
like your life, you got to swim in that shit.
Yeah.
Like I've realized, because there's so, like, it's never ending, dude. Like there's never like more you can't learn. It's just a never ending shit, like, to learn and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like surrounding yourself with the right people and just like living it and shit, but not too much to where it's like your mental health suffering and shit, which is what I'm learning.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like once you start living in it, you start attracting the people, like the right people in your life, and your best friends and the people you surround yourself with are like, they end up being a part of what you do.
Bro, listen.
You know?
Listen. Everybody listening, Khalil, Ryan, if you're in the car, whoever it is, I've had a pretty shitty week. I'm going to be straight up. And what you just said really kind of like sparked some shit in me to say this right now. You got to enjoy what you do. Make it enjoyable. It's not always going to be enjoyable. I woke up today, I'm not going to lie, I felt like shit. This whole week, I haven't wanted to do a damn thing. Me and Ryan are going to Glamis in a week, and I literally just want to screw off until then. That's all I want to do is just kick back and screw off. But what I'm coming to realize is even when you hate what you're doing, you have to take pride in your hard work, pat yourself on the back, pick yourself up, and make yourself enjoy it. Because let's say you have to do some shit. Let's say that, Khalil, you have a beat pack that you got to send a guy by 12 o'clock or whatever, and you fucked off and you partied and this and that. You have to get that done, whether you like it or not. So why not just enjoy it? Why not tell yourself, hey, even though I'm under the gun right now and I'm super stressed out, this is a learning experience. This is something I can grow from. And if I let the creativity flow, it's going to go 10 times better. Okay, as in my day job, I'm a writer. In my day job that pays the bills, I literally type things out all day. That's what I do is I write, and it's a creative job and it's dope. But it's not dope when I go up to my computer and my brain is just completely fried and I can't think of a damn thing and I can't enjoy it. So I've had to train myself to be able to enjoy it. And when I can get myself in that mindset, it has produced some really good results, not only in terms of the projects I'm able to deliver, but it helps me mentally.
Yeah, it's crazy when you do something for a long time though, like it loses its luster.
It does.
Like for example, with that example when you were like, you need that beat pack out by 12 o'clock tonight, whether you like it or not. Like if you started like 2 months ago, you'd be excited as fuck to do that.
Yeah.
Because like you just started and it's like fresh and it's like, so then when people think, oh, like look at Travis Scott, like he must be having the time of his life. He probably is. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure he's fucking stressed.
And he's working.
And he's working. And I'm sure he's done this for a long time. So where it's like, it kind of loses its luster, especially once you're already famous for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, I hate when people are like, oh, well, he sure has it good. Like, I'm sure he's happy. Like, he's so lucky. He's got all this stuff. Mm-hmm. He's famous. But it's like, you don't know what the hell's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, his shit lost his luster too.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. That's one thing you got to face too. Like, not every day you're going to like what you do. Like, there are days where I don't want to be a music manager. Yeah. There are days where I just wake up and I'm like, I do not want to do this. And then I want to quit. And then a week later, I think about my future and I'm like, wow, imagine if I do quit. That's going to like, no.
Right. It's crazy.
No.
It's crazy
You're
how
telling
like,
me, bro, like,
yeah.
Imagine I stop doing what the hell I'm doing. I can't do that. I
Dude,
know.
bro, that's another reason why I feel like it's so important to not have a plan B.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to like fall back on that shit. So I feel like that's such bad advice when people say that, like have a plan B.
Don't have a plan B. Simply put ways to mitigate risk and deal with downfalls in your plan A.
Yeah,
just have a plan in plan A that accounts for a lot of screwed up things happening. You don't have to have an entire separate plan. Well, if being a music producer doesn't work out 3 years from now, I'll become an accountant.
Right.
You know what do you mean if it doesn't work out? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What is your benchmark for, it didn't work out? You know, is it money? Like what? I don't understand. Well,
and the reason I feel like it's important to not have a plan B, like exactly what you said, like a this or that, is because you're going to go through like a lot of fucking hardships doing this shit, especially because it's a hard game. It's a cutthroat industry and you're going to want to quit. Like you're going to want to you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it for a minute.
And you know what's going to happen when you do quit? You're going to go to plan B, and then for your plan B, you're going to make a plan C.
And Grant Cardone said some shit that like...
Uncle G.
He changed my perspective too. He was like, another reason why you don't want to quit is because you got to start from scratch again doing something.
Why? Okay,
Fuck that.
You're digging for gold. You're digging for gold. Why dig 10 1-foot holes when you could dig one 10-foot hole?
Yeah.
That's all you got to think about. You just got to visualize that, and it's completely true. You got to start from the top of the sod. You got to kick it through the grass, break through the roots and all that, and do the hard work of getting it started. And then you kind of finally get into the hole, and then you're like, I'm gonna try something else. That's how you become mediocre at a lot of things.
Like think about this, Khalil. Right? You started producing when? Like 8th grade or some shit?
Like 2014.
Okay, so like 7. We'll say 7 years.
We'll say that. Yeah,
7 years of growth and shit.
Yeah.
So let's say you went from a level 0 to a level fucking 9 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say. Imagine you quit, right? And all of a sudden you got to go to level 0 on some shit.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And you got to rebuild your life.
Yeah, fuck that.
And you're already a level 7 wizard.
Yeah.
And now you got to go back to his level 0 mage. Yeah, man. Listen, everybody. the bottom line is that whatever you want to be successful in, you got to make it your life. And that doesn't have to be something that's unenjoyable. It needs to be something that comes from a place of authenticity. You need to be genuine about it. And the reason that it needs to be genuine and authentic is because you're then going to enjoy it as much as you can. Now, what happens when you don't enjoy it? You got to tell yourself to look at the bright side of things and continue to push yourself through it. The only person that's truly affecting your life is you and the actions that you make. Very rarely does another person's actions drastically affect your life. You're in control. So make it your life, become obsessed about it, and there's such a thing as a healthy obsession. Don't ever let anyone say, oh my God, you're obsessed with making music. You're obsessed with making money. There are some people that are obsessed with murdering people.
You obsessed with partying?
Which one do you want me to fucking be obsessed about? Making a difference in the world, making money, feeding my family, or killing people or something? What do you want me to do? Everyone gets obsessed about something. I'm convinced that all humans are a little off. Everybody becomes obsessed about something. Everyone's a little weird in their own way. Why would you not use that weirdness? I would call it uniqueness and creativity. Why don't you use that towards something good that's going to make you fulfilled and happy?
Some people are obsessed with Netflix.
And chilling.
Yeah.
Maybe Netflix separately and chilling separately.
Yeah.
Maybe together.
We'll get into that.
We won't get into that. But hey, everybody, we appreciate you guys listening. Khalil, thank you for joining us.
Real quick. Can I go into something real quick? Just to top it off. I was getting passionate about the not giving up shit and the starting over because I've really felt like giving up. I'm gonna say it. Like I've really contemplated and considered it because this shit's hard, dude. Yeah. It's really hard, and I've been really going through like a lot of pain doing this shit. But I wanted to like get that on and be like as also a pep talk to myself on camera in the documentation of the journey. So when we all pop off fucking in like 4 years from now, people are looking back and listening to what we're saying. I almost quit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you can't fucking do that.
Yeah.
You just can't. I'm telling myself that right now too. Like you can't. I've already made the commitment for the rest of my life that this is what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure I'll switch up to some other shit later on, like that branches off. But it's like, dude, like I've already made the commitment. So
I love that, bro.
That's it.
That was good.
Yes.
Hey, hit us up on Instagram at Khalillionaire, at JACXB, more at Ryan Ramirez Official. Ryan released a new song literally right now, Thursday, January 28th at 9 p.m., right? It's a song called I Told You, Ryan Ramirez and Rico Tarantino. The shit is hot. We're going to be releasing tons of music. Khalil and Ryan have a bunch of projects together. Yep. Hit us up, man. And DM us, reply to our stuff. Whatever, like we want to talk to you guys. We want to know topics for the podcast. We want to know what you guys want to talk about. So let us know. This is for you guys, insiders. Thank you and peace out.
Later.
What's in your mind for you and for I? I'm trying to decide from the look in your eyes, yeah. I mean my signs, but your feelings inside you. I'm listening.